All right, hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of a double feature, where this week we are looking at Terrence Malick's 2011 film, The Tree of Life. Now, this film has been very polarizing, as most of Malick's films are. People love it, people hate it. It is absolutely astounding or absolutely nonsensical, depending on your point of view, I guess. So we're just going to start hashing it out and talking it through. Let's see if we can make some sense out of this very non-linear story. Thane, so I like how you're bringing up the two forces that Malick's really representing in the film: the force of mercy, the force of nature. And I want to ask, because I have this question for Malick as well, but he's not here, so I'm going to do the next best thing and ask you.
Oh, yes.
In life, are these forces an either or? Is it really we have to choose nature or we have to choose mercy? Can we not choose them both?
No, actually, I think we can choose both. And whether Terrence was trying to make a very visible separation or not, I guess that's to your own interpretation. But I took it as, you could definitely accept both. And in fact, I think throughout the film, Jack is a great example of this because he is more like his father, and in fact, he says that at one point, I'm more like you than I am her, but at the same time, he's still drawn to his mother, and I think he's trying to overcome certain issues he has with the way he was raised and certain demons he's trying to overcome and to get to that place of grace. But I don't think just because you start walking down nature means you're stuck there, and I also don't think that just because you're in grace doesn't mean you'll slip down to nature. And I think life is this journey of back and forth. It's we make choices and we choose things, and we step right, we step left, we step right, but hopefully by the end we're somewhat moving forward.
So does the synthesis, for lack of a better word, of mercy and nature, does that require grace?
I mean, I think so, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who would say no or have a valid reason as to why they don't think that. But yes, I think that because obviously we are all going to choose bad things. I mean, we're going to choose good things, we're going to choose bad things, and it really is. It's just part of being human, I think. We make errors, we make mistakes, and that's fine. That's part of the living experience. So, in the third grade, I went to school one day and very, very sick. I ate something wrong for lunch, not sure, but got a bad stomach ache, and for lack of a better word, I had an unhappy bum. Let's just say that. And I was wearing khaki pants that day, and so it was very obvious that I was sick and I was having a rough day, okay? I was not having a great day. Now, in the third grade, walking down the hall to the nurse's office, extremely embarrassing. Extremely embarrassing. I was mortified. I never wanted to go back to school. I hated my life. I wanted to die. XYZ. Every emotion you could possibly think I was feeling. But now, 25 years old, looking back, I think, okay, that was funny. And, it was just a bad day. I mean, that's what it was. It was a bad day, and I had something bad for lunch, and we all have those moments that in the moment it was terrifying, but now it's different. And vice versa. I think there are moments where we're haunted by things that we perhaps regret. So we get to this place in our life where the only thing that can save us, I think, is grace. But I really do believe that. I mean, and I'm sure this continues as we grow. I mean, like I said, I'm only 25, so the things I look back now at and regret, I may not even remember by the time I'm 50, and so there is very much this element of grace as we walk the path of life. And I think that is the brilliance of this film, is because, and I said this in my review that, this is a very slow movie, and it's not very linear, and, these memories that kind of come and go don't really make a lot of sense, and it's just kind of like, okay, there's no context for this, I'm confused, somewhat confusing. But to the patient viewer, I think this can be a very moving experience, because at the end, hopefully, you realize that Terrence Malick or whatever his last name is, what he was trying to do is to just lead you through your own life. Not that I ever killed a frog, or I stole a nightie from someone's house. I mean, I never did those things, but I mean, obviously we put ourselves in those shoes and we realize that, yeah, life is full of mistakes, and life is full of great times, and life is full of loving people who will always love you and be there for you and tell you wonderful stories. And life is full of angry people who demand things from you and want your attention, want your time, want your love, and yet aren't very good at giving that back. You just gotta be patient. Just be patient with the movie. Let it get to the conclude. Think about it. Meditate about it. And I think you will realize that this is a masterpiece.
Yeah. And I think that's the key. If you get into this movie and you sit down and you just force it to try and tell you what it means, it's not going to make any sense really at all. However, if you get in, you take the movie at its own terms, and for lack of a better word, you open yourself up to the film, then I think come the end, it can be an incredibly powerful movie for you. So yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually that kind of brings me to a question I had about what you were talking about. So you talked about this, where were you question that's sort of asked throughout the film. Do you think, and again, maybe not, because I'm a firm believer that this film kind of we have our own experiences, but for me, this where were you, I felt like he was more asking me than anyone else. I didn't really feel like he was asking anyone in the cast or anyone in the film. He was asking me, where was I, and then causing this internal reflection. But I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I think he's, like I said, he's asking it, Jack is asking it to God, but the ambiguity is there, that God is either, God the Father or his earthly father. What I found fascinating, and maybe this is Malick's theology coming out, I'd go so far as to argue that the God he's recognizing in this film is not a strictly Judeo-Christian God, as much as he's using biblical imagery. The God he's looking at, if we just go by these motifs and themes that keep popping up throughout the movie, Malick, I believe, is trying to say God is everywhere. So when he says, where were you? And you're taking it, he's asking you, I think in a roundabout way, he really is asking you that question, because God is within you. So I think the establishing shot that he's showing us, when we just sort of see this nebulous, amorphous blob, and we're to get the idea that here is the divine. And I think that's cemented when it pops up 2 or 3 other times in the film, all of the time it's during these intense prayers and moments of introspection. But then this same pattern is shown over and over and over and over again in the film, from the creation of the universe to the animals in flight, ending at the beach with all of these human beings going in these same random swirling patterns that the camera just underscores. So there's God playing throughout all of creation, and then it ends. And God is there at the end of the universe, as well as stars are being destroyed and planets dying.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, now that you say it, it seems so obvious, but I totally missed that when I was going through the film myself.
Well, and it could be I'm just reading into the film what I want to see, but I think the pattern is there.
No, I agree. I definitely no. Now that you say it, I'm like, oh, duh, of course. That's what that yellow thing is. Duh. I should have guessed that, but oh well. But yeah, I agree. It's interesting. You're right. Whether I don't want to say this. Whether that is his own personal theology would be a very interesting question to ask him himself if we could. Because I think the danger of this film is that you impede your own theology on others. But I felt like it walked that line very well. It certainly was on that line for quite a while. Definitely some spiritual references. You could probably even argue that this is a spiritual film.
Oh, definitely. It has to be.
Yeah, but I think he leaves it vague enough and ambiguous enough that we are allowed the privilege to see what we want to see. Yeah. Which again, I think that's just the brilliance of the film. I mean, this is just one of those. This is just a rare movie. It's a rare movie to sort of have your own experience.
If you haven't seen it, go and see The Tree of Life. If you have seen it, what did you think? Did you find this emotionally moving, or did you find this a bunch of pretentious schlock? Let us know in the comments below. Jump over to social networks, talk to us there. We will give you a heads up. We are entering the home stretch of awards season, so we have some fun and exciting stuff coming up for you starting next week. So stay tuned to see what that is. And until then, drop us a line, and as always, watch good movies.